Jesus describes the sun going dark, stars falling, and the Son of Man appearing in the clouds. Is this symbolic or a literal event still to come? We're still studying the Olivet Discourse in response to the four fishermen asking for the sign that would signal the destruction of the temple. We're examining Mark 13:24 to 27. Let's read the first part of verse 24. But in those days, after that tribulation, in what days? Do we have dates? No, we don't. The only qualification given is after that tribulation. Which tribulation? The one described in verses 14 to 23. Jesus explicitly calls it a tribulation in verse 19, and he says that after that tribulation there will be some major signs to see. Let's look at the whole of verses 24 and 25. But in those days, after that tribulation, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will be falling from heaven, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. What are the subjects of what Jesus is talking about? The sun, moon, stars, and heavenly powers. There will be big happenings in the cosmos, and these events would all be familiar to the men who asked Jesus the question that prompted this discourse. Let's look at Isaiah 13:10. For the stars of the heavens and their constellations will not give their light. The sun will be dark at its rising, and the moon will not shed its light. Now let's look at Ezekiel 32:7-8. When I blot you out, I will cover the heavens and make their stars dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give its light. All the bright lights of heaven will I make dark over you, and put darkness on your land. Let's look at Joel 2:10 and 31. The earth quakes before them, the heavens tremble. The sun and the moon are darkened, and the stars withdraw their shining. The sun shall be turned to darkness, and the moon to blood, before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes. Jesus' apostles and Mark's first-century Jewish readers would have a strong scriptural basis to hear the words of verses 24 and 25 and equate them with divine judgment, the great and awesome day of the Lord. After the days of that tribulation, the world would witness events that the prophets of old described again and again, signaling God's impending judgment. Let's read verse 26. And then they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. After that tribulation, and after those cosmic signs, then they shall see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. We need to pause for a technical note. Jesus is talking to his disciples, specifically responding to a question from Peter, James, John, and Andrew. But here he says, they shall see, third person plural, not you shall see, second person plural. This would seem to imply that the four men to whom Jesus is talking will not be part of the group that will see this event. Perhaps because it will happen after their lives have ended? Let me know what you think in the comments. What shall they see? Look at Daniel 7:13-14. I saw in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven there came one like a son of man, and he came to the Ancient of Days, and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion and glory, and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed. Throughout Mark's Gospel, Jesus has referred to himself with Daniel's messianic title, the Son of Man. The Messiah would come with the clouds of heaven, receive dominion, or rulership, glory, and an everlasting kingdom populated by people from the whole world. Jesus' apostles and Mark's audience would recognize the allusion to Daniel's prophecy. And what does that prophecy mean for them? The Messianic kingdom, for which they have been waiting, isn't just a local thing in Jerusalem. It isn't a militaristic or political movement. It is a divine intervention, establishing a once-for-all-time kingdom, with subjects taken from all peoples. The dark period of tribulation will end with the glorious appearing of the Son of Man, Jesus, to establish God's kingdom forever. It's important to remember that 3 of the 4 men asking Jesus about the future were witnesses to the Transfiguration, which involved a number of the same elements described in Daniel 7 and here in verse 26, including Jesus referring to himself as the Son of Man. Let's look at verse 27. And then he will send out the angels and gather his elect from the 4 winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven. The first thing to note is that the Son of Man, the Messiah, has authority over angels. They do what he wishes. The next thing to consider is that Jesus is talking to 4 apostles, and apostles are literally sent out ones. Now Jesus talks about sending out angels. The apostles are sent out to proclaim the good news about Jesus, the Messiah. The angels are sent out to gather his elect, the chosen ones belonging to him. These are the citizens of the eternal kingdom described in verse 26. And from where will the angels gather them? From the 4 winds, from all 4 cardinal directions, and from the ends of the earth, as well as the ends of heaven, from the whole of creation. In that single event, that divine intervention, the elect of all creation will be gathered together under the eternal dominion of the Messiah. What about those who are not part of the elect? What happens to them? In Mark's account of Jesus' description of these events, we are simply not told. The most that we can infer is that they are not gathered by the angels. In Matthew and Luke's accounts of the Olivet Discourse, there are other details regarding those not in the elect. But because this is an inductive study of Mark's Gospel, we'll not conflate or harmonize the Gospel accounts. That's an exercise for a different study. So what did this passage tell us? After the tribulation, described in verses 14 to 23, cosmic signs prophesied in the Old Testament signal the end of the age. Then Jesus, the Son of Man, will appear in glory, and his angels will gather God's people from across the world into an eternal kingdom under his dominion. The Messianic kingdom will be established, but not in the earthly sense the people had anticipated. What should we do with this information? No matter how dark the days, keep watching for the signs of his appearance. And most importantly, as Jesus said in chapter 1, repent and believe in the gospel, so you can be in the elect. Next time, Jesus explains how to be sure about these things. Thanks for studying with me, and thanks for being a subscriber to my channel.